Highway Patrol, Plotzer. You all know him. Okay. We'll get everybody else in here. Here, you want to come in and share the with me?
Come on in.
Okay, well, we'll see if I can-
Okay, y'all ready? Okay, I'm Mike Fitzhugh, Sheriff of Rutherford County, and want to give you kind of a briefing on little information that we know right now. At 11:22 today, we received a telephone call that an escapee from Benton County Sheriff's Office, who was in transport, escaped on I-24 around our Church Street exit. So we dispatched teams of officers to the area and around the South Church Street area. The suspect is Christopher Taylor, and he is an escapee from Benton County. And at that time, we called for support, and we received support from THP, Tennessee Highway Patrol. They had a helicopter that was brought into the area, as well as their manpower. We received also support from Murfreesboro Police Department. We had K-9 training going on in our county at that time, so we also, in addition to our K-9s, Murfreesboro K-9s, we had Laverne K-9s here also, so we put them in the search. We've had drones in the area, as well as Highway Patrol helicopter. There's been a grid search that's been set up over by Church Street, off of Church Street, moving through the area and kind of moving towards the area of New Salem Highway around in that area. At the present time, the person is still at large. We are going back and setting up additional grid teams and putting them in place, and we're going to be doing a grid search back through this area. We've responded to several sightings where people or individuals have stated that they've seen something that has suspect or a person that's suspect. And of course, each one of those requires us to take manpower and go check that out. Right now, the search is continuing, and we're breaking our people down into seven-member teams to continue the grid search. Additionally, charges are going to be placed here for felony escape, and our detectives are at this moment doing a further investigation, and charges are pending on that, and then there may be additional charges once we find out a little bit more about it. That's about really kind of what we've got. What I do know is that Christopher Taylor is on violation of probation for drug charges. He has some prior misdemeanor charges that we are aware of, and so that's about what I've got right now. At this time, I'd like to introduce Sheriff Kenny Christopher, Benton County Sheriff, and any comments that you'd like to make, Sheriff.
Thank you. I'm the Sheriff from Benton County, Ken Christopher. I want to first off say that I appreciate everything that they're doing for us here in Rutherford County and Murfreesboro and the THP as well. They really thrown forth all efforts on bringing our inmate back in. He left there this morning. We had him, he was out of Bradley County. We had had local drug charges on him prior in Benton County. He was back serving a violation of probation. We was finished with him and was returning to Bradley County. Somewhere right in this general area, as I'm understanding from my correctional officer, that he came through the screen in the back of the car where it was an open window area and attacked the corrections officer. He has been treated and released at this time with minor injuries, and everything is being done that can be done. We'll be taking our correctional officer back with us today because I said it was minor injuries, and we again appreciate all the efforts that everybody's doing with every agency in this area. He before they left, my corrections officer, I spoke with him, and he said that they had no problems with him as far as any problems while he was in our jail, and asked him did he feel comfortable about transporting him by himself. He said absolutely. I've had no problems with him. So I do feel like from information that we have gathered since this started that this may have possibly have been planned according to what information we received at this time. We're following up on that in Benton County as well as they're following up here. And he does have, or has had in the past, he has had some connections to this area. So we're following up on that. And that's about what I have at this time, and I appreciate y'all being cooperative with us. We're just trying to get all our efforts headed in the right direction.
Sheriff, can you tell us exactly how the escapee was able to get out of the car? You did explain how he was able to go through from the back to the front, but how was he able to get out of the car?
What happened on it, from the understanding I have from my corrections officer, there, in some of these patrol units that we have, there's a sliding window so that you can communicate with them. The window was open. It's a very small window, but he said as he was coming down the road, all at once he came through the window on him and landed on the corrections officer, and him still driving, so he was having to maintain the vehicle and get it off the side of the road, as well as try to fight with him. And he pulled his taser and tried to dry stun him, is what we call it, without deploying the leads on it. They was fighting while they was pulling over, and the correction officer seen that he had taken the taser from him. So at that point, he cut the car off and took the keys with him, so he couldn't go and take the car. Crawled out of the car, and the inmate came out after him, and they began to fight on the side of the road. And he told me at that point a truck driver had stopped and pulled them away from each other, and that the inmate had taken possession of the taser and was pointing it at the officer. And so he got him back up to his truck, and that's when the inmate took off.
That seems like a well-executed plan. Would you say so?
Well, I'd say he had some idea of what and where he was going to do it at. Like I said, we understand he does, or has had in the past, some connections to this area up here. But fortunately, nobody's been hurt so far, and my officer is not injured anything bad, just treated and released. So we're very proud of that. That's the main thing. And I believe that we'll find him pretty soon with all the efforts that's put forth, and the way the Sheriff's Department here and Murfreesboro and THB are putting all these units on the ground and in the air. I feel very confident we'll find him soon.
So do you guys have possession of the taser, or does he have it?
Yes, ma'am. The taser was recovered out there on site, and we do know that he no longer has his jail shoes on. He lost them as well. So he was shackled, he was cuffed, and a belly chain on. So not very mobile, and they was all double locked. So according to my corrections officer, so I feel like that unless he's made it somewhere, to get some kind of assistance, I think we'll find him pretty soon.
And how long was he serving time with you guys?
I don't know at this time. I don't know exactly, but it would have been minor because it was just a violation of probation. That's all we had him for.
Do you guys know if he has any family in this area?
I do not. That's all I know. We're investigating a couple other leads from another area that we received a little information, but it's all just under investigation at this time.
Is he a family that lives in Tennessee?
That I don't know. I'm really not familiar with him.
Do any of the nearby businesses have surveillance video of him crawling around?
I'm not familiar. I can let the sheriff talk.
As I've said, we've had various sightings of an individual. We have gone to a few, I'll say 3 of the businesses that felt like they had somebody on tape. That was not conclusive from looking at the video whether it was or wasn't. Is anything like this, when you put out an alert like this, you get a lot of calls. We have to check them all out. We don't know whether they're credible or not, but we have to check them as such. But from the video we've seen so far, there's nothing credible that it was that person.
Sheriff,
And
how long do you anticipate the search to go on tonight?
we'll continue on into the night to the point where we feel like that we've exhausted the teams. Of course, obviously the dogs can only work for so long. We'll continue until we exhaust. There's there's no indication that he's even still in the area, and so that's why we're going back to grid searches and going to cover every piece of ground that we've got. Once we've done that, then we'll make a determination just how long do we continue. I can't say that he's still there. That's information we just don't know.
Well, the sun's gonna go down here pretty soon.
Yes.
How does that present a challenge for searches like this?
Well, certainly, because you lose your daylight and then your own flashlight. At that point, of course, your beam is much more narrow than what you got in daylight situation. The area that he's in, there's a lot of heavy brush where the officers cannot get in there, but we've sent dogs in to that brush area, and they've not had a positive indication that they were in there. The other thing that we're searching, there's, as you can imagine, the land, there's culverts all through this area, so we're having to check out each one of those and mark them off as we go. So it's even though it may be a small amount of areas, there's a lot of different terrain that we've got to go through. So that's one of the problems that we've got right now.
Hey, Sheriff, did he pull his service revolver, the deputy?
No, did not.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. We don't have you. Do what? Okay.
You want to talk about this?
You may be able to answer that. I don't know what your correction officer carry.
Our correction officer just carried tasers.
Okay.
Sheriff, can you talk about this?
And what he said is his correction officers just carry tasers. They're not armed with weapons. So that would be the reason why.
Is he considered dangerous or nonviolent, and what should residents and business owners do? I know there's some popular restaurants right near the search area.
Well, I'm going to say dangerous because anybody that escapes, we don't know what their intent is to stay on the run. So far, on any background that we've got, we do not have any felony charges on this person. There's no indication other than drug charges in the past. What his intent and what's on his mind, I wish I could answer that, but I just can't. We're going to treat it as that way. I mean, that's the way we treat anybody that escapes, and that they've got an intent to stay that way. So far, we've not had any citizens accosted or anything like that, so that at least is a good sign.
So he's shackled and handcuffed, it's double locked. How far can he possibly get?
Well, that's the question that we've got. Is he still shackled? Is he still, don't know. If it was planned, and if there was somebody that was able to get to him, then of course, obviously, unfortunately, cuff keys and whatnot are not that hard to come by. And so while he was that way when he escaped, it does not necessarily mean that he's still that way. I'm concerned because of the amount of ground that has been covered and whatnot. It does beg the question, is he still shackled? So, okay. Captain Plotzer from the Tennessee Highway Patrol would like to address. Sir.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank everybody for coming out today. That means a lot. Obviously, we hate when these incidents take place, but what's nice is where we have a great working relationship with everybody that's out here. Sheriff mentioned earlier about how we've committed air assets, and we're remaining committed to this effort. Obviously, we've got our air assets committed, but also we've committed some drones as well and manpower. Just like you said, I'd urge people, if they see people walking along the interstate, I would urge them not to pick them up, okay? Hitchhiking obviously can be dangerous at any time, but when we're dealing with a situation like that, please be mindful of that. So please call in if you see suspicious activity like that. Call and report that to us. We received several inquiries earlier about a crash that happened in the area. This crash was not related to this incident. And I received numerous calls about that and emails and stuff. This crash was not related to this incident at all. Totally unrelated. That investigation is still ongoing. But please, I want to urge people, if they see something, say something. That's why we're out here, okay? But partnerships that we have with local agencies, Sheriff's Office here, the Sheriff's Office in Benton County, we can't put a price tag on that, because when these incidents happen, we all come together and work so closely. And as well as City of Murfreesboro as well. We all come together, we know each other, we work together routinely. So, but please, if you see something, say something. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Turn back.
Okay, well, that's really all we know at this particular time. Obviously, to say the investigation is still ongoing and we're still gathering information. As Sheriff Christopher indicated, there are some indications of possible leads that we may be able to get to at a later date once we're able to gel that to determine if there was some local affiliation of some sort. I can't caution everybody enough, and if you could, through your outlets, put out That anybody that sees anything, it doesn't matter whether they think it or whatever, just call us and let us check it out. Don't be the hero, and don't go out and check. If you hear anything, see anything, please give us a call and let us have the opportunity to check it out. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for coming.